Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
The opinions expressed during this program represent the opinions of the participants and is given for informational purposes only. Any information provided is not intended to replace professional advice for your specific situation.
He answers your financial questions. David Safransky, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, live today from the Amazon rainforest.
Polish power.
Hi, Dave.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, so some people don't know. They're like, wait, the Amazon rainforest? I know he lives in denial usually, but... Oh, Lauren loved that one. So what are you doing? Why are you there?
We have an association with the church in Brazil that reaches out to the indigenous people groups of the Amazon River Basin. And this is the deepest I've ever been in the jungle. We are at a village right now. I'm using a Starlink that we brought last year to communicate with you guys. We have solid communications with the outside world, and we're digging a water well probably about a quarter mile from the boat, slightly uphill, so everything has to be carried up there. But when we leave this village, they will have fresh, clean water and somebody to deliver the gospel to them on a consistent basis forever.
Wow.
And that's what we're doing here. That's what we do when we come to the Amazon.
Now, for the protection of people there, we're not going to like reveal your location or anything, but like, can you give us some kind of idea of how far into the? You still there? Hello, Dave. He said he lost me.
We can hear him.
I got you. I got you now.
Oh, good. We're back.
I
The
got you.
satellites
Sorry.
have aligned. Thank you, Elon Musk.
Satellite. Elon Musk is a great man, yes.
So, how far in the Amazon are you? Can you give us some kind of picture of that?
So we flew into Manaus, which is a big city in the middle of the jungle, about 2 million people. We took a public ferry. It's a big boat, another 20 hours east and south. And then we got on our church boat. We went 2 days deeper into the jungle along the river. That's how deep we're in the jungle. Yes. I've never been this far into the jungle.
Are you worried about like piranhas and other animals that are going to like eat you or something?
Well, it's funny that you would say that because the river that we're on, the part of the river that we're on, is very dangerous. We can't swim here. Usually, I let the kids from the village swim first, and then give them like 10 minutes just in case something's really hungry. And if they are okay, then I go in. Well, nobody goes in the water here, and they told us you cannot swim here because of caiman and alligator and piranhas. So nobody goes in the water here.
Ugh.
So you imagine, if you're going down to get a drink of water in the morning, that's where they get their water from. It's a dangerous place. Everything about it is dangerous. Being in the water is dangerous. Drinking the water is dangerous. Everything about it is dangerous. So we're providing them a way to safety. And yesterday, as the well work was going on, we had people going up to all the houses in the village and sharing the gospel message and praying with people and finding out what their prayer needs were. And that's really why we're here. We're going to meet a need of fresh, clean water for people. And there's a ton of kids in this village, Brian. It kind of breaks your heart a little bit to see that they have to drink out of this river, but they're not going to have to do that after today. So we meet that need of fresh, clean water, and then we deliver the gospel. And it's a powerful thing. And the chief of the village has been extremely welcoming to us. The village has been very helpful. He's eaten a lot of meals with us, and he proclaimed that God is the one who brought us here. So they believe in God. Now they need to be delivered the gospel, the living word of Jesus Christ. And that's what this church is doing here. And we're just a really small part of that because we leave here and that work continues, but it's really something to see.
That's fantastic, Dave. We're so grateful for the technology that enables this connection. It also enables you to send us pictures. So we're going to be posting pictures of Dave and his little setup here in just a moment. And I'm always trying to get things past Lauren. Nothing gets past Lauren. In fact, before I could even look at the photo of you, she had an issue with your outfit. Lauren, could you raise your objection, please?
Yes. Dave is wearing knee-high socks with flip-flops.
Come on, Dave.
Like
so he
the
has to
flip-flops?
shove the sock
It's like
through the toe sandal. That's upsetting.
It's like I'm retired in Florida.
Yes, exactly.
Like they're not slides. You have to jam the sock between that little stick or whatever that you jam your big toe
Yes,
in.
exactly. And there used to be a show called Rocket Power, and there were a bunch of surfers, and they called those shoobies, and that's what you are. A shoebie.
Why are you doing this? You're representing not just Jesus, but America.
Come on, please.
America, right. So there's a lot of little like ground fleas here at this village. So I had to wear something, and it was in between this and boots. And for some reason, I just kept my flip-flops on. But as soon as Levon took the picture, I knew it was going to be an issue when I looked at it. I'm like, oh no.
Because one of Lauren's first questions was, does Levon really allow you to wear that?
I think she did it knowing you were going to make fun of me. So I might make her sleep in the jungle tonight. I don't know.
So we're going to get these posted on social media, right, Daria?
Yeah.
And then maybe even later this morning,
Thank you.
can you do the whole fancy like live on the live stream picture of it? Maybe?
Yeah.
Or is that a lot to ask?
I can see about getting that up.
Ooh, and we can even zoom in on the socks. Talk about it again later. That'll be
Just
fun.
the socks, not his face.
No, we don't need to see his face, just his horrible decisions in footwear.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, it's just about time for a quick break.
Yes.
Dave is live from the Amazon rainforest to answer your financial questions. So that's what we need, your financial questions. Call or text right now. You could also ask him about the rainforest, I guess, if you wanted to, or his work there. 440-546-2255. Again, 440-546-2255.
Whether you are single, a single parent, blended, married, a teenager, or school-aged, Family Strong Conference will equip and empower you to build a stronger family in a culture where too many homes are weak and falling apart. Hear Dr. Eric Mason, author of Urban Apologetics and Manhood Restored, Dr. Julie Slattery, author of Finding the Hero in Your Husband and Rethinking Sexuality, and famous YouTuber Alan Parr, our keynote speakers on Saturday, June 29th. Register today at newcommunitybible.org.
We know that Moody Radio Cleveland listeners are a generous bunch. Many would give an arm and a leg to help someone in need. So we're asking for your arm. Our annual blood drive is coming up on June 25th, and we'd appreciate you giving blood from whichever arm you prefer. Make your plans today to donate at Cuyahoga Valley Church on Tuesday, June 25th between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Schedule your appointment to give blood. Go to redcrossblood.org and enter the sponsor code CVC online.
How do you respond to trials and troubles? In his book, Never Lose Hope, Chuck Swindoll says we can emerge from the rubble with a strong resolve to recover and rebuild. We'll send you a copy of Never Lose Hope when you give a gift of any amount to help Moody finish our fiscal year strong. Never Lose Hope. Can we send you a copy?
Your financial support helps us share the truth of God's Word with others. Give today at moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Thanks.
And he is the king of the jungle.
So Dave, he texted me from a number that doesn't seem like an actual phone number. It says, Brian, this is Jungle Dave. I'm stuck in the jungle until tomorrow. He's in a remote village in the Amazon. He does this once a year. He's back in the Amazon. He's not the king of the jungle. He's not even the chief. He is some random guy wearing socks and flip-flops, helping out to dig a well. And he's Dave Safransky, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. 440-546-2255. To see his awkward choice representing Christians and America in his outfit, you'll have to just check out the internet. And we got the photos of him there. Now, Dave, we have questions for you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's go from the jungle, live from the jungle.
With your flip-flops and socks.
Okay.
With my flip-flops and black socks.
Yeah, black socks. We didn't even say that.
They look like compression socks. Are they compression socks?
No, they're not compression socks, Lauren.
Oh, okay. They look a lot like my compression socks from when I was pregnant, so.
Levon's laughter in the background might indicate they actually are compression socks.
It's a long flight. It's a long trip. I wouldn't blame you.
You can come out with me, but you have to be quiet.
Okay, first question. We're retired. Our portfolio is managed by a publicly traded company being acquired by a private equity firm. What should we do?
Well, I've always believed that no matter who the company is that you're working with, it really comes down to the individual that's managing that portfolio. So if you're comfortable with that person who you're working with, if there is an individual person, and I like that type of arrangement. There's, we talk a lot about the big companies in the money management world and some of the things that they offer, and they are really good companies. However, some of them, you're never going to have an individual that you work with. And I think that's kind of important. Somebody who understands your needs, wants, and desires and what you want to see happen with that money, that portfolio. And that's why I like their products, but I don't necessarily recommend that you have your money managed by them, because every time you call, you're going to get a different person who you're going to have to re-explain everything to. And I think that's a little arduous and impersonal. So if you have a person that you've worked with over time and they're at that company and they can assure you that they will maintain their autonomy and investment choices, which I think is very important. A lot of times you see some companies will virtually insist that their advisors place people in their proprietary product. Well, I don't like that, because most companies, they don't have all the answers. Fidelity's a great company, but some of their funds are absolute dogs, and I wouldn't use them. And if you have a company that's insisting that an advisor use their product, I think it's time for a change. So I would probably sit down with somebody that you've been working with there and say, tell me how you see this happening. Are you going to stay in the transition? And should we stay in the transition? I think those are very important questions to ask. And, a lot of times people are they're afraid to make people feel uncomfortable. They don't want to create that discomfort in the room where you might be leaving, but this is your money and it's a big decision. And what happens with it is important. So you got to take charge and get the answer to those questions before you move forward with them.
440-546-2255. Get your financial questions in. Dave was excited to answer them for you from the jungle because it just sounds so cool, you know, even though he doesn't look cool at all today.
I actually have that picture ready to go. It's up on the live stream right now.
Right now? Okay.
Right now.
There it is. Right on this side?
Yep, you got it.
There it is. Dave in the jungle making terrible wardrobe choices.
Let the comments flow. And by the way, we did a Financial Revelations podcast from the jungle yesterday with the pastor and interpreter, and there's kids running around in the background. You can see the boat. It's really kind of cool that we could do all this literally from the middle of nowhere. And one thing I did read earlier this week, that there's 600 million users now of Starlink, 600 million. And around Brazil, especially as you get closer to some of the cities in the jungle, there's Starlink satellite receivers practically everywhere because it's the only sure thing. Now, the Starlink is a private company. You cannot invest in Starlink yet, but the moment this company goes public, I think it's going to revolutionize. Well, it's already revolutionizing information delivery because I'm in the middle of the jungle talking to you guys right now. We could not do that before last year. It was impossible. And I remember one year we tried it with a satellite phone and it just couldn't work. It's an inferior technology.
A huge delay where I'd be like, hi, Dave. Silence.
Right.
Hi, Brian.
Like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As if you're not awkward enough, Brian.
I know.
Made it like 10 times worse.
We had to cut it off because of that. Yeah.
We had to cut it off. And along comes Elon Musk. And, before Starlink was out, there were things like HughesNet and one other satellite-based internet company, but their delivery speed was 9 megabytes a second. Right. We are getting over 200 megabytes a second with Starlink, and there's 40 people hooked up to it right now, and I'm talking to you live.
It's incredible.
It's just phenomenal what's going on.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
It's transformed access in rural America as well, where there's a lot of areas like, I don't know, where I live, where you don't really have any choices, and the only option available is 10 meg or less per second, which is, antiquated, like dial-up speed. And so this kind of access changes everything. You're right. So, all right, 440-546-2255. Before we get to the next question, I heard from a birdie named Ron that you have a prayer request for your trip down there.
We do. Last night as we were drilling the well, we're like 150 feet underground right now, and we need to go a little bit deeper, and we're hitting something that we cannot get through. And they're up there drilling right now because the generator is running, so I know that they're drilling. But the prayer request is that we would get through whatever the drill is stuck on right now, because ideally we're going to go about another 50, 60 feet before we are at an ideal depth. When you're along these rivers, you hit water relatively quickly, but you need to go deep to get clean water, because it's the pressure that's created by the weight of everything above it that kills the germs and the bacteria and all that stuff. And that's where we need to draw deep water from. And so the prayer request is that people would just pray that well is breaking through as we're talking right now, because it really needs to.
Well, hear our prayer, Lord, and make it so. So add that to your prayer list, folks, and we can, before we say goodbye today, make sure we pray about that as well. Let's get to our next financial question. Again, you can get those in at 440-546-2255.
I'll be 73 this summer, and I need to take money out of a 401k, and I only have a few thousand in it. How do I do it, and what do I do with it? I know nothing about any kind of investing. I only have a savings account, and that won't go the mileage.
Well, I think it would be a good time to really sit down with somebody who's in the industry, who can kind of map out what you should do with that and how you should organize your finances, because it sounds like the budget's tight. And when the budget's tight, you can't afford to make a mistake. If you're a wealthy person and you make a mistake, those people don't even notice that they've made the mistake because money is just kind of rolling in. But when that's not the case, every little thing has a powerful impact on your finances. So I think where I would start is find somebody, whether they're in your church or somebody that you could talk to, and just sit down and kind of walk through the way the finances are organized now and what would be the best application of that money. Now, at 73, if you're not working, you're going to have to take a required minimum distribution out of that. So if you move it to an IRA, they're going to make you take some money out, and you could put that in your savings. And as the money comes out, you pay taxes on it because that money has never been taxed. But I think where I would start would just be figuring out your finances. So how can I maximize my savings account, this 401k that you have to remove, any other money that's coming in, just so we can make sure that you're hitting on all cylinders, because you can't afford not to. And that's where most people are at right now, because inflation is so high, wages haven't kept up with the price increases. Prices are up really about 25% in the last 3 years. And the Federal Reserve and our good friend, Chair Powell, he has decided.
Going to scare the village
that
doing that.
I did that on the podcast
Just broke the
yesterday, and the
rock.
kids all jumped. The rock broke. And, our friend Leo, he's had it in his mind that he wanted to walk in the jungle. So he's walking in the jungle, and he's really far away, and he's recording it. And as he comes out of the jungle, you hear in the background me yelling, Chair Powell. It was great. I'm like, I have arrived. I guess this is how I arrive. I don't know how you guys do it, but Chair Powell decided they're not going to reset prices. He decided against a recession, which would have been the course of most Federal Reserve chairmen, to bring prices down. And they're considering the soft landing to be, well, we're gonna keep the 25% price hikes, and we're going to bring inflation down to 2% growth, which means we're going to live with those price increases forever, the way they define a soft landing. And I think that's a horrible definition of a soft landing. I really think in this instance, the inflation was so bad so quickly that the appropriate measure, and I hate to say this, but in economics, sometimes the way that they've run the economy and the Federal Reserve, they're the ones that put us in the box. They almost have to drive us into a recession to drive prices back down to where they're tolerable and wages can outpace inflation growth. But they've decided against that course of action. So they're considering the soft landing what we have right now. And I don't think it's so soft, and I don't like where we're landing. So people who are living on the margin, or somebody like this, we've got to make sure we're maximizing everything about our finances, everything. And that's where I would start if I were her.
All right. Are you making
There's
babies
some
cry
village
already?
babies. Yeah, it's probably because I yelled Chair Powell. Hold on, let me try again. Hey, little kid, Chair Powell! She's just staring at me.
Perhaps the kid looked at your footwear as well and was a little horrified.
No way did he just
They're
do
like,
that.
What are wrong with these gringos? Who dresses the gringos?
He said, hey, little kid.
Well, hey, it is 8:30. We're up against a quick break. Our friend David Safransky, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, is with us, even though he's making children cry in the rainforest.
Hi, guys.
He's like multiple days worth of travel up the Amazon River, helping to dig a well for a village and scaring children by yelling about Chair Powell. And he's ready to answer your financial questions. Call or text with him right now. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255.
Welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread. Our reading, titled New and Certain, was written by Karen Huang. For 3 years, apart from household necessities, Susan didn't buy anything for herself. The COVID-19 pandemic affected my friend's income, and she embraced a simple lifestyle. One day, while cleaning my apartment, I noticed how shabby and faded my things looked, she shared. That's when I started to miss having new things, the sense of freshness and excitement. Susan found encouragement in an unlikely book in the Bible. Written by Jeremiah after Jerusalem fell to Babylon, Lamentations describes the open wound of grief suffered by the prophet and the people. In the midst of grief's despair, however, lies sure ground for hope, God's love. His compassions never fail, Jeremiah wrote. They are new every morning. Susan was reminded that God's deep love relentlessly breaks through anew each day. When circumstances make us feel there's no longer anything to look forward to, we can call to mind His faithfulness and look forward to how He'll provide for us. We can confidently hope in God, knowing our hoping is never in vain because it's secured in His steadfast love and compassion. God's love is my something new each day, Susan says. I can look ahead with hope. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
Counseling, it's what God created you to do. When you earn your Master of Arts in Clinical Mental Health Counseling from Moody Bible Institute, you'll be equipped to help others become who God created them to be. Study at Moody's Chicago or Michigan campus, where you can secure certificates in the areas of marriage, family, and couples counseling, as well as trauma-informed counseling. Learn more and get started on your counseling career today. Go to moody.edu/counseling.
Imagine what it was like to walk and talk with Jesus. That was the experience of the disciples, including Matthew. This month, in Today in the Word, we'll read through Matthew's Gospel. We'll understand the family history of Jesus and witness the miracles He performed, and better understand how Jesus fulfilled Old Testament prophecies by His life and death. This will encourage you to follow Jesus faithfully. To join the study, download the free app or go to todayintheword.com.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Tried to do it on my Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
536 WCRF. Have you ever wanted to send David Safransky deep into the rainforest? Today's your day. He's days into the Amazon in a small village with a group of people, digging a well, making sure they get some fresh water and sharing the gospel. We love that Dave does this. And thanks to the technology of Starlink, he's able to connect with actually incredible amount of quality. Not in his outfit he chose today, which you'll see on the internet if you go check it out on our social media sites, but in the technology is great today. Dave, are you ready for more questions?
Hey, in my defense, okay, I was raised in the wild by the Polish. And so black socks with sandals would be totally appropriate there, all right? So
I suppose I can't argue with that, I guess. But hey, by the way, I know Dave's connection from the jungle is very riveting. Right now, we need questions. You all are like, oh, I love hearing more from Dave. Awesome. Well, he can't answer your questions if you don't ask him.
We have no questions. Ask your questions.
440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. We did get one, though.
Oh, yeah. All right, Dave. Last year, I donated $5,000 to my church offering by personal check and received a confirmation letter from my church. My tax accountant wouldn't use this as a deductible because I wrote a weekly check and it was not taken from an investment account directly to the church. Therefore, I owe $559. And I had it sent from my 401k. The IRS would have owed me $457. My friends who do their own tax returns use this personal weekly checks, church donations every year. Why can't I?
Well, what you did wrong, and your accountant is correct on this. They can't use it because you're trying to do what's called a qualified charitable distribution, which is totally legal from a 401k, an IRA, a SEP, a money purchase plan, any qualified plan. But there's a couple of important things that have to happen to qualify it as what we call a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution. And the most important thing is you could never receive it. It cannot go to your checking account first. It's got to go right from the qualified plan right to the charity. And these are easy things to do if you do them right. We have people all year long sending us letters with the instructions of the charity, their tax identification number, their address, their name, and then that qualifies as a qualified charitable distribution. And the beauty of this thing, what makes it so nice, is that, this money that you put into an IRA or 401k has all gone in pre-tax. Technically, you've never paid tax on this money, and you're going to send it to a charity, and it's never going to get taxed. And anytime you can associate the words no tax with something that you're doing, you should strongly consider it. So if you're over the age of 73 and you're in the required minimum distribution phase of your life and you're giving to a church or a charity, this is a way more efficient way to give. You just got to do it correctly. So let's say I'm just going to pick a number. 5,000. We'll use 5,000. Let's say you're giving $5,000 to your church a year. Well, if you're giving it to them out of your checkbook, you're giving them after-tax money. So it's not $5,000 that you're giving them. You're actually taking about $6,800 or $7,000 to give somebody $5 because you got to pay tax on it. If you do it from your IRA, it's $5,000 because it's never been taxed, it's never going to be taxed, and it's going to go right to the charity. So if you're in the RMD status right now, you really should be sitting down with your advisor and asking them, should I consider not giving from my checkbook, but giving from my IRA? It's way more effective, it's way more efficient, and it's very easy to do if you do it right.
I can't resist throwing in there that it is the end of the fiscal year for Moody Bible Institute and Moody Radio. And so we're looking for folks to consider those year-end donations because it helps us continue the mission here that you're hearing unfold right before your very ears and eyes if you're online. So, Dave, if somebody wanted to do something like that, their required minimum distribution, and they want to give a fiscal year-end gift, that would get them, by the way, Chuck Swindoll's brand new book as a thank you gift. How do you even start the process?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you got to do is just find out where you're sending the check. So if it's going to go to Moody Bible Institute, you could call. I am 100% sure that if you called Moody and said, I'd like to give money, how do I do that? Someone's going to pick up that call. Okay.
That's correct.
They're not letting that call go to voicemail.
That is correct.
They're going to give you an address to send the check to, the tax ID number, and the actual legal name of, it's probably just Moody Bible Institute, I'm sure. And that's where the check goes. And it will count as your qualified charitable distribution. And, a lot of people believe this, or not, Brian, but a lot of people don't know who to give their IRAs to. They might not need them. IRAs have been around for a long time, and a lot of people take their work 401ks or their work retirement plans, and they roll them over into an IRA. So some of these IRAs have millions, literally millions of dollars in them, and they might not need it all. There's a lot of people that are in that position. They might not have kids. They might not know who. They might not want to give all the money to their church. A lot of people don't want to endow one organization out of fear that the all you have to do is look at Harvard. Early on, Harvard has the largest endowment in the history of mankind.
Yeah,
and a lot of the families.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What I was just going to say, it's almost unfathomable and unpronounceable. Isn't it in the hundreds of billions?
Yes. And so some of the original Harvard donating families have gone to the Supreme Court and tried to undo their gift because the Harvard of today is nowhere near of the Harvard that these families gave to. And the mission changed and the people changed and they became something totally different than what these families gave to. And a completed gift is a completed gift. You cannot have it back. That's what the Supreme Court has said. Huh. And so a lot of people don't want to endow an organization for that very reason. And I understand it. I deal with wealthy families all the time that they want to maintain some semblance of control, not because they're control freaks, but because they want to make sure that that organization is held to a standard that they gave to. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't want to give all of your money to one organization, I certainly understand that. But there's ways that you could do it where you could bless Moody at the end of this fiscal year and have it be tax advantageous to you. I would consider it.
And again, if you want to consider that year-end gift, you would get a gift in return. Our appreciation gift is called Never Lose Hope, Biblical Promises for Times of Trouble, Chaos, and Calamity, a brand new book by Dr. Chuck Swindoll. To get your gift in and to get the information on perhaps using that required minimum distribution from your investments, just go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland, moodyradio.org/Cleveland. Click on Give Now. Or just call and talk to somebody. 800-600-9624. Again, 800-600-9624. What's happening in the Amazon? What does that sound? Is it windy?
No, there's a generator running. There's a generator running in the background on the boat. There's a school going on behind me. And of course, that little bratty kid was crying right next to me after I yelled at her. So.
Well, the kids have calmed down, but Dave hasn't. He's ready to answer your financial questions. Yes, ma'am. Next one.
What about a QCD from a pension plan that requires RMDs? Can it be done and how?
I don't know what any of that. What?
QCD, RMD.
That was
FBI?
a lot.
Yes. What's a QCD? What's that?
Well, the QCD is the Qualified Charitable Distribution.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any plan that requires you to take out a required minimum distribution is eligible, as long as it's a qualified plan, is eligible for the Qualified Charitable Distribution. And so you could do that. And, you know, the only thing that I don't like about the Qualified Charitable Distribution is you only can do it when you're in RMD status, which you have to be 73. So it's a little bit later. You know, it's a long way from me because I'm 45-ish. And yeah, hey, I just want you to know so on this boat that we bring to the Amazon is everything to drill a well. It's self-contained. So on the boat are these bags of gravel, and they weigh about, I don't know, anywhere from 40 to 70 pounds. This 45-ish-year-old was carrying them up the hill in the heat and keeping up with everybody. Now behind me, directly behind me, I could almost reach out and vomit on it. which is probably what I'll be doing later, are 85-pound bags of cement that also have to go up the hill. Maybe we could do the extended version today while they carry cement. I don't know. Asking for a friend.
Well, there's many reasons I've never accepted your invitation to go with, and you've just added a couple of them for me. So
Brian's not carrying cement.
I'm not doing that.
Brian doesn't even carry like our bags to, events and stuff. He lets Daria do it.
He and Josh watch me carry heavy things and set up tables. And then at the end, when I'm done, he says, "Oh, do you want help with that?"
I know that's true. And Josh is probably like over in the background filing his nails, like this big, like suave and debonair.
They're both
with one of those jackets on.
Yeah,
we're doing our jobs. We're connecting with people. We're thinking.
You're gabbing with each other.
Drinking coffee with their pinky out. Here we are carrying cement.
Yeah, and I don't think I could get away with that in the rainforest.
No.
I don't think I could.
I don't think so either.
Although
You'd have
you
to
might
carry
be surprised.
something, even if it was light.
Hold on, guys. I have to make a call. I got Starlink. A very important meeting.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I did that yesterday. We went down to breakfast, and I said, "Hey, by the way, I need the generator on at 7:45 today." And it happened. Like, oh, Dave needs the generator on.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We have more time for your financial questions for David Safransky, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, coming to us live from literally the middle of nowhere in the Amazon rainforest as they dig a well and share the gospel. 440-546-2255.
If you've ever been in a health crisis, or maybe someone in your family was dealing with one, you know it can be one of the most challenging and even lonely times in life. And in that moment, when you have a difficult path to walk, you don't have to walk alone. That is what MediShare is all about. It really is sharing, not just each other's medical bills, but each other's cares. It is a community of like-minded believers who can pray for you and support you every step of the way. MediShare is the affordable, reliable alternative to health insurance, but it's about so much more than that. It's about peace of mind in the good times and the tough ones. You can call now. It is refreshing to talk to people who really are here to serve you. You can experience the difference the people of MediShare make right now and in the future, just when you need them most. Call now. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
I used to tell people would say, "Well, do you know a good book on money that I should read?" And I said, "Yeah, there's this book called Ecclesiastes. And it was written by one of these famous one-named guys, Solomon." And I always wondered how many people went to the bookstore and asked for the Ecclesiastes book, and they got, "Oh, I got tricked. It's a Bible."
He's snarky. He answers your financial questions today live via satellite from Starlink in the Amazon rainforest in the middle of nowhere. Dave, we got more questions for you. Dave Safransky, you ready for a couple?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Of the 11 sectors of the stock market, which one would you pick to be the best in the month ahead?
11 sectors. That sounds made up.
Yeah, the S&P 500 sectors. It's undeniable that technology has led the way for the last year and a half, and I do think that's going to continue. There is this seemingly AI revolution going on right now, where it's starting to kind of infiltrate into our daily lives. And you're going to see a lot more of that. And a lot of people that I respect, that I follow and read their work and listen to their commentary almost daily, are of the mind that much like the internet was a revolution in the early 90s, the application of artificial intelligence to our daily lives is going to be as transformational. And I do believe that to some extent that is very true. So I really do like the technology sector. Now, there's a lot of companies that dabble in technology and are technology behemoths that you wouldn't necessarily realize. For instance, Walmart is a technological behemoth. They have computing power that is really legendary and rivaled by only a few companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla. Tesla also is talking about turning their unused computing power in their cars into an AI supercomputer, which they can link these cars together.
That sounds like a bad idea.
That
sounds like the bad idea.
I don't want to be linked with anybody.
Well, it's too late for that. That's already happening. So I happen to like technology. Now, the risk that what happens is people find a sector that they like, Brian, and they're like, well, I'm just going to quadruple down there. I want big returns. And for me, if the inside the S&P 500, if technology represents about 17% of it, an overweight in that market would be 2 or 3% more in technology, not 20 to 30% more in that market sector. Because, trees, I'm in the Amazon right now, and if a tree was going to grow 700 feet, it would be here, because there's not a lot of people to chop it down. Well, there are no 700-foot trees here, so everything stops at some point, and the technology growth will do a reset. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. I'm not saying that, there's a recession around the corner, but there's always a recession around the corner. So you have to be mindful of those things and do it within measure. And some of the things that I also like outside of technology are I like the trade down stocks, the stocks that people go to when times are tough, like a Walmart, actually. A lot of people, they're picking up a lot of higher end customers, because if you go to some of the higher end grocery stores where yeah, they are.
Oh, you don't mean in the store?
In the store, they're getting a lot of people that are trading down from higher end grocery stores because they don't want to pay 30% more for the same yogurt that they could pay less for at Walmart. And that's happening. That tells me that the weakness in the economy is starting to affect everybody. And, the top 1%, the top 2%, they're never going to get affected. It doesn't matter. But everybody else is sick of paying way more for gas, way more for food, way more for shelter. Those things are having an impact on everybody. So they're going to places like TJ Maxx. Yeah. And my dogs, TJ Maxx, we're going to FaceTime them today because they miss us. They have nobody to bite. I'm the person that they bite. They miss me dearly.
I'm sure they do.
And I know they do. They love me. Dogs love me in general. Even in the Amazon, dogs love me. Now, every once in a while, you'll get a dog here that you're like, I don't think I want to touch that dog. But the dogs in this village are actually really healthy. And I was talking to the chief the other day. We had a little sit down, a little powwow, if you will. And I said, why? We've been to a lot of villages. In this village, the dogs are healthy. The houses are a little less ramshackle. They're a little nicer. The people seem fed and happy. They just don't have clean water, the gospel. And he said, well, they work together for each other. And then he finished off with, they have really good leadership.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah. Way to pat yourself on the back, Chief.
That's great.
I don't know how I don't think my last comment got translated to him exactly like I said it. Our translator, Melissa, says, well, Dave, I know to retranslate some of the things that you say because they're just not going to be well received.
Yes.
Which is kind of like what Lauren
Shout
does.
out to Melissa.
Lauren and Melissa should just have a little connection point there and share each other's pain.
Yeah.
All right.
Melissa's actually our newest employee too. So.
Oh, well, that changes everything. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Next question for Dave Safransky.
I'm 66 years old and still working. Can I apply to homestead where I don't pay property tax?
Yes, you can, and you should. Okay. It's not that you don't pay property tax; you pay a lower rate in property tax, and it fixes. So you won't get. One of the things that happens, especially when, like, you get a neighborhood in Cleveland that gets gentrified and everybody's property values go up, the locals get priced out, and we saw this a lot in 2008. You might not have had a mortgage, but you had taxes and all that stuff on your property, and people still lost their property because taxes got so expensive. And as property values rise, especially inflated property values, your income hasn't risen as much. A lot of people just get priced out of their house. So you should homestead, yes.
Okay.
How do you do that again? You call the county, or who do you do that?
You apply. You can get it. You could probably go online and get a homestead exemption form and apply online. It's easy.
Okay.
Next question. I am 81 years old. Should my IRA portfolio include gold? In what form should it be?
Well, it's not a bad idea to have some precious metals in your portfolio. Of course, my favorite precious metal is brass because it fits into a 9mm.
What about
and
unobtainium
I love that kind of person.
and adamantium?
Yes, yes, but I have traditionally liked silver a little bit better because it is an industrial metal, and as the economy improves, that metal goes up in value. But gold has done pretty well in the recent past, and it took a while. It took some pretty high inflation, and gold basically didn't move. And then as inflation was moderating, all of a sudden, I think people realized, oh, wait, they're not going to drive us into a recession and bring prices down. And that's when gold really caught a bid. Buy gold now in an ETF, which some people like because it's really easy. It's cheaper. You don't have to buy like a bar of gold, and you still get the benefit of the price benefit of owning gold. And really at 81, if the economy just went into complete turmoil and you said, well, send me my gold, I'm going to go to the grocery store with it, that's not a realistic option anymore. It's just not realistic for us. So I don't mind owning it in an ETF. I think that's a very efficient way to own gold. And they're pretty good ETFs. So that's probably how I would do it.
But there are commercials all the time, right, on certain channels where someone's trying to get you to buy actual gold bars.
Right. And so in finance, we call it a return trip. When you buy something, when you sell something, that's the return trip. There's a commission on both sides of that trip. And so you'd say, well, gold is $1,800 an ounce, but you're actually going to pay $2,100, $2,200. You're going to pay a commission to buy it. You're going to pay a commission to sell it. So did you really catch any value in it? Probably not. And so if you're not going to own like gold coins that you could buy from a dealer, I would just own the ETF. It's just way easier.
Okay.
This is about your trip in the Amazon. It's not a financial question, okay?
Okay.
This is from Rocky. They said, God bless you, Dave, and your team. I'm familiar with water drilling in my many years of life. We used a rotary drilling outfit, and I doubt you have anything as huge as we used, but curious what you are using. Do you have to case the well? Also, I'm invested in mutual funds, and I worry about the stocks crashing like 2008.
And you have about a minute to answer all of that, Dave.
Okay, this is easy. We have an all-electric drilling rig, and that's what the generator in the background is powering up at the well site. So we run three-phase electric all the way up to the well site, and so we've got a very powerful drilling machine up there that's not breaking through the rock right now, but I think it probably will. And then we do case the well. We put a well pipe in with a footing and a filter at the bottom. It's a hand pump. And then sometimes they come back and they'll put an electric pump in and feed like one of those big blue tubs, like a 500-gallon or 1,000-gallon tub, and you could actually create pressure and plumbing with it. So we do case the well, and it's at depth, and we test the water and all of that. And as far as the market goes, look, there is going to be setbacks in the market. They're inevitable. And so the thing to be is diversified. Own some things that are uncorrelated to each other in the stock market. So, for instance, the caller about gold is uncorrelated really to the price of a stock. It's really more correlated to inflation in the economy. And so you've got to have an emergency fund. You've got to have some cash. You've got to have a well-balanced portfolio if you're going to withstand the shocks. And there you go, live from the Amazon.
All right. Again, Dave Safransky has been live from the Amazon. If you want to reach out to Dave, best way to do it is come to us. We'd be glad to connect you. Thank you for taking the time out to do this, Dave. And as much as I wanted a longer prayer for it, Lord, help them break through that rock to finish up the well. Amen. Thanks, Dave.
Amen.
Appreciate
Amen.
you, brother.
All right.